I used to think East LA was heaven. You know, it's my place. I know the neighborhoods. I know the street corners. It's where I was nurtured, where I grew up. It wasn't the perfect place. But my parents, that's where we started as a family. So there was like 15, 16, 17 reporters and photographers who were Mexican-American. And we decided that we wanted to have a crack at doing our own series that talked about the Mexican-American experience in Los Angeles, to try and get this point across that we're just like everybody else. Yes, we're different in many ways, but it's not something that America hasn't seen before, and we shouldn't be feared. We're just part of the landscape, just like everybody else.
American Dream Lives in the Barrio, by George Ramos, photographs by Rick Corrales.
After 18 years, I went back to 812 North Record Avenue, to the house where I once lived, to the Belvedere Garden barrio where I grew up. My barrio is unique in this megalopolis that is Los Angeles, an obscure corner of an affluent society, a place seldom visited by progress. But don't mention that when you meet my grandmother, the current resident of 812 North Record Avenue. To Grandma, cooking seems to be the favorite pastime. Flour tortillas are made from scratch, and beans and rice are the backbone of any meal. By noon, it's time for television and the soap. I've never quite understood how a person with such a limited ability in English can give a running commentary in Spanish of Days of Our Lives.
I remember we were at the national meeting of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists in Washington, D.C. And there was a rumor going around. Jose Galvez and I were out jogging one morning, and Jose says, "Have you heard the rumor?" I go, "What rumor?" "We're going to win the big one." And the light just turns green. He takes off, leaving me at the corner. He's jogging off to the distance, and I'm saying, "Win what? Win what?" I run for 2 blocks to catch up with him, and I says, "Win what?" He looks at me and says, "Win the big one, the Pulitzer Prize." No way! And we're jogging for another mile or so, and I still don't believe it. We get back to the hotel, and that's when we're told.
The Los Angeles Times today won the Pulitzer Prize for an in-depth report on the growing influence of Southern California's Hispanic community. The paper's editorial cartoonist Paul Conrad also won.
There was Walter Cronkite, there was Peter Jennings, were the biggest names in journalism, and then we were shaking hands with all of them, but we couldn't go up and accept the award for ourselves. But later, once we actually got the gold medal, we were all taking pictures with it, and it was just an incredible moment, you know. And there's all these Mexicans kind of mucking for the cameras, and I think even Walter Cronkite said congratulations. He had his big grin on his face as he walked by, and I think that to me is something I'll always cherish. Some people say that was then, this is now. Well, it never is really. My mother says that a lot, and while I never really argued with her about it, I think she's wrong. Then is always now. You always remember your roots, remember who you are, where you've come from, what motivated you, the sacrifices your parents, your grandparents made for you. I make sacrifices too for the next generation of reporters. That's why I'm here. And that's why I am the way I am. Not perfect, but certainly one person who thinks that it's important that I try to do this. My grandfather, who was an illegal, was a soldier in the United States Army. My father was an illegal, and he was in the United States Army, fought the Japanese. I owe the country something. It's not a very fashionable thing to say, but the country's been good to me and my family. We've been able to live the American dream, albeit with brown skin and brown eyes, and occasionally speaking Spanish and looking different, but we try to live by the rules.
somebody told me that the camp vote was like 2 weeks. I mean, it's like 2 streets and that's it. There's nobody else there. I mean, you know, but I mean, just all you do is just go down the road, cross the border, and you're there. And right.
Welcome back, man. Welcome home.
This is a cinder block inside the Citadel at Way. When they had the battle there.
I remember I went right through that.
Well, they lost about 70 buildings, and this is a cinder block of one of the buildings that were destroyed during the battle during the Tet Offensive. 68. I brought that back for you. This is Veronica Garcia. This is my mom. She's a fellow Padre fan. Monica Rodriguez. Fred Ariza.
But I owed the flag something. I owed the country something, and so I went. And when I came back, it changed me. I began to think about myself not just as a sometimes aggrieved Mexican trying to fight the wrongs, but I had seen somebody actually fight wrongs, and I was on the wrong side. I realized I don't have a beef with these people. The Pulitzer was a positive. The Pulitzer told me anything was possible, and that at least for that day, at that moment, I accomplished the impossible. This little Mocoso kid from East LA gets to be part of a Pulitzer Prize winning team, gets to be among the first Latinos ever to win a Pulitzer Prize. And he's from a poor neighborhood, and it could have been anywhere. It could have been South Tucson, it could have been the south side of El Paso, it could have been the east side of Palo Alto, but it was the east side of LA. And my story is really no different from a lot of folks, but the difference is I've lived this life and I've been really blessed, and it's something that I will take to my grave, always.